We all know that exercising is good for us, but yet we dread going to the gym or even doing a home workout in our spare time. Instead, we opt for another activity that gives us a sense of mental and physical comfort. But what if I told you that exercising has changed my life? Would you believe me? As a kid, I was very active. I was running track in high school and I was involved in all types of sports, mostly cricket because I loved playing cricket and I ended up playing cricket for my school. Um, I kind of wasn't good at it, but I always was very much involved in, physical activity. And then even around my cousins, we would have a little competition just to see like who's better for bragging rights. But I would always be involved in some sort of physical activity. But what I didn't realize at the time is that physical activity was becoming a staple in my life. And from a young age, I didn't know that. I just got involved in things and I wanted to do it more often and more often, and I just wanted to keep getting outside and going and playing with my friends. But I just didn't realize what was happening to me. As I grew older, I wanted to start working out and, to get bigger, stronger. I mean, which young 13-year-old does not want to get big muscles? And that was my goal, to just get stronger and look bigger and I guess feel better about myself. And I did whatever I could to do that. And by doing whatever I could, I quickly realized that a lot of the things that I was doing in terms of trying to get bigger and trying to gain weight was primarily because of what other people felt or thought of the way I looked, and it influenced me. It made me feel as though, yeah, this is something I got to do now because everybody is doing it. Or I want to get bigger arms because, girls like that. Or I want to get buff and weigh 200 pounds because other people think you look good like that. And, like there's a saying that goes like, curls get you girls. And I quickly came to realize that that wasn't true. But it's just that outside influence that was, I guess, making me do the things I wanted to do. And I don't know if I was genuinely doing it because I wanted to do it. I think I was doing it more so because other people made me feel good about it. But after years of dissatisfaction with just doing things for people's satisfaction, I just never got to a point where I felt like, oh yeah, I feel great. Because every time I felt good, somebody else would do something and then I would feel like, oh, maybe I need to do that. And then it just became this cyclical thing of just always wanting to keep up with whatever I was seeing. And it got to the point where I figured out what works best for me. And it took me some time. It took me some time to realize when it comes to exercising or physical activity in general, what works best for me. And I quickly realized that the thing that works best for me is the thing that brings me some type of mental clarity. And that is being outside, being in the outdoors, going hiking, or even running trails, which is probably one of my favorite things to do. If you've seen any of my IG stories, you would know when I went for an afternoon run. Some days when I run, I don't post anything just because I'm not in the mood. I just wanted to run for the sake of it. I just wanted to go run. And on some days I just run and I feel great. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta post this. I gotta be motivational and show people like I'm out here running 3 miles. But yeah, like I found what worked for me and I stuck to it. I got to a point where I felt as though like, hey, this is my thing. The outdoors is my thing. I never really enjoyed being inside of a gym just because, I don't know, the environment of a gym and it's just weird sometimes for me and I can be antisocial at times. So yeah, I don't know how I deal with it sometimes, but just being inside of a gym is just kind of awkward for me and I kind of don't like it because every time you think you look good, there's somebody else that walks by and they look better than you. And now it's this whole psychological game and you see all the stories on social media of, how to pick up girls at the gym and all kinds of crap. And nowadays, I guess if you try to talk to a girl at the gym, it's seen as if you're trying to hit on her. So it's all kind of weird stuff. And I don't know, I just never felt 100% comfortable in a gym. I when I worked out outdoors, that was more my style. That was more my feel. And I still talk to people outdoors. It's not like I don't talk to people when I'm outdoors doing a workout or hiking. I do that, but it just comes off more natural to me. And I think being outside in that natural environment gives me a sense of comfort, you know? You might ask, like, why does the outdoors bring this sense of comfort? Well, I find that, you know, in a busy world like today, where there's a 24-hour news cycle, there's constantly refreshing your news feed, there is social media, there is Netflix, there is cable TV. Everything, when you think of it, your brain processes that. And I like to think of my brain as a percentile. So 100% would be your 100 percentile capacity. And then, you know, you would dedicate, 50% to work, 30% to family. And this is no means how I dedicate mine. I'm just using this as like an example. And then you would dedicate another, 10% to fun, and then another 10% to self-improvement or working on some of your personal goals. And quite honestly, with how everything is, it's kind of hard to really sit back and relax and actually say, yeah, this 30 minutes is for me, And one of the things I realized that helps me with that is just going outside for a hike, being outdoors, just, taking in nature. It helps me to clear my mind. There's times when I might be having a stressful day and I know exactly what I need to do to help me feel better. And that's go outside, be at one with nature. Sometimes I go up to the rooftop and I watch the sunset, and it does wonders for me. It makes me feel like whatever I was going through, it's irrelevant, quite honestly, because for some reason it's like sometimes I'm all over the place, and then when I'm outside and I'm on top of the mountain just looking off into the city, or like I'm on the rooftop just looking at the sunset, everything just like comes back right here. And it's like, yes, this is where I need to be. This is how I need to cope when I'm having a bad day. And I get it. We all have bad days, and I don't want to make it sound like every day is a bad day, but there are times when we need to decompress. There are times when we need to relax. There are times when we need to just unwind a screw and just let everything hang, and for me, I found that being outdoors and being, I guess, one with nature helps me to do that a lot. Now, I don't know what the name of that process is, but I like to think of it as like you are a rechargeable battery. And it's weird because I'm comparing a human being to a battery and yada yada. But just think of it from this perspective. A battery loses its power. So then you recharge it and it regains more power. So now you have more energy, more power to go and do whatever you have to do. Think of it like your phone. I like to think of myself the same way. I have a battery, and I know when my battery is low, and I know what I need to do to get back up to 100%. And I feel like anytime I go for a hike, or anytime I'm outdoors doing a trail run where I'm just running past trees and grass and all that kind of stuff, I feel better when I'm done. I feel like I'm full of energy and I'm ready to take on whatever is going to come my way. And I say, like, before I found that, I used to struggle. I used to get into this weird emotional slump where I would never kind of know what's going on with me. Like, why am I like this? Like, what's bothering me? And the whole time, I just need to recharge. My energy is just low. And for me, that has done wonders. I have dealt with some situations that was, not the easiest mentally. There was a time when I was borderline depressed and I didn't know why I was like that. Well, I eventually figured it out. It was not just only recharging, it was a few other things that I had to come to grips with. But I did find that when I went out for a walk on some of those days when I just felt like crap, I came back and I wouldn't feel like 100% better, but I felt better. I felt like, okay, I can take on another 30 minutes of this. So maybe every 5 minutes I go out for a walk, you get the metric. Like I just wanted to be able to feel better and understand what was going on with me at the time. So I look at this kind of thing as just recharging your batteries and getting yourself to a point where you feel like, yeah, I feel better. Whatever it is that was bothering me, it's not necessarily gone, but you have energy to take on whatever it was. So this may not apply to everyone, but I believe there's a chance if you try exercising, it helps, right? And I know I talk a lot about just being outdoors, but a lot of times it's also incorporating being outdoors with exercising. Going for a walk is considered exercising. So you don't have to go out and do a marathon or anything like that. But just going for a walk is considered exercising. Going for a hike. And I feel like when you do that, you get this sense of energy again. And I don't know. It makes a difference, in my opinion, you know? So I would encourage anyone to try it. Just give it a shot and see what it does for you, because you never know. Maybe you're not an outdoors person. Maybe you got some type of allergy to pollen, something. Like I went hiking with one of my good friends and she was like, my arm is itching. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. And we tried to figure it out and we still couldn't figure it out to this day. But after she got back from the trail, she was fine, you know? She was legitimately fine. But I was so concerned, and you know, I guess if that situation applies to you, then yeah, sure, please take precautions, do your research and see, you know, what type of ointment or cream you have to put on yourself before you go out. But it's not for everyone, but at the same time, I do think that it helps, especially if you figure out like, oh, this is actually what helps me. So I know this in particular, when it comes to exercising or being outdoors, is not gonna apply to everyone. So comment down below and let me know what works for you. I've found so many different people have different methods and I really want to know what works for you guys. So recently I went out on a hike, and if you're seeing some of the B-roll, then that's the hike I went on, and I ran into a gentleman that is so funny. He asked me like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you filming yourself?
Hey, what are you filming for?
YouTube channel.
I said that. That's awesome, brother.
Pretty much talking about the benefits of exercising
God
on the
bless
brain.
you.
Yeah,
In nature,
I
too.
teach that every day.
Oh, you do?
I'm a psychotherapist.
Really?
So 1 hour of aerobic exercise gives you 7 hours of endorphins.
Wow. Maybe I should talk to you once you get to the top.
And I told him like, oh yeah, I'm doing a YouTube video for, you know, mental clarity and just talking about like the benefits of exercise on the brain. And he actually turned out to be just the person I was looking to meet. And he knows probably a lot more than I know from an academic standpoint on this subject. So I will let him tell you the benefits of exercise on the brain.
Hey, I'm Steve Brand. I'm a psychotherapist in historic Roswell. I want to talk about endorphins that you get from vigorous exercise. So aerobic exercise, which is heart pounding, sweating exercise, 1 hour of aerobic exercise gives you 7 hours of endorphins, 1 to 7. So that's a good reason to get a good work out hard, sweat, get your heart beating, get your heart rate up. And then you get a brain bath, because endorphins bathe your brain. You can get off of Prozac and all that other stuff if you get that endorphin thing going, about 5 or 6 times a week. So that's my advice.
So in conclusion, I really believe that, you know, mental clarity is something that, you know, we should all practice. If you want to get to a point where you are operating at your optimal level, this is something we should all try and practice. And just finding ways to clear your mind. Now, exercise is not going to always be the answer, you know. For some situations, it may be something else. But just having mental clarity really helps you to figure out what it is your future is going to be like. Because a lot of times you can't think of the future because of the amount of stuff that you're dealing with in the present. And it's difficult for some people. But I do believe that once you get to a point where you figure out what gives you mental clarity, your future starts to become more and more clear, I guess was the best word to use there. But yeah, just figure out what that is. And I honestly feel like that is something a lot of people can benefit from. And I've benefited from it. And that's why I wanted to do this video and just talk about, mental clarity and exercising and how it helps the brain. So if you've got value from anything I said in this video, go ahead and hit the like button. And if you want to continue to get more of that value, hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for all your support so far. This has been a really great start. Thank you for all your feedback, all your comments. That's also another thing that really helps me to get better at making these videos. So once again, just thank you guys so much for everything. And until the next time, I'll see y'all. Peace.